So for the past few months, I've tried really hard to get a hood badge on here that says 345 Hemi. And I really wanted it in the original 426 Hemi font. But instead of 426, it says 345. I thought that would have been awesome. I did find a company that used to make those, and I called them a few times, actually. I talked to the owner. They said they had like a couple left, and I really tried hard to get them to sell me one, but they wouldn't. So the next best thing was to try and mix a few badges together. So I went ahead and bought the 426 Hemi badge here. And I thought maybe, if I get the 426 Hemi and then I get another original badge, which maybe would have been the 383 Magnum or the 364 barrel, that I could actually combine the letters. So I could, I was even thinking I would cut the edge off the 6, because you can kind of see it starts to look like a 5 a little bit. It would have been a little bit kind of weird. I would have reused the 4 and the 6 turned into a 5, and then 45 Hemi. So I bought a couple of the 364 barrel, but I guess I didn't realize from the pictures that it's really tiny, and it's actually a different font as well. So obviously that 3 is just not going to work with that 426. So I think what I'm going to do is just resell this, because this is actually an original. And I'm just going to take the 426. I'm just going to put Hemi on there, and I think it's going to look awesome. Woo, there we go. Looks awesome. I went ahead and I just rubbed off the red paint because, it kind of looked weird, especially since my car is orangish red and the paint kind of clashed a little bit. So I thought this kind of went better with the Chrome Challenger, the Chrome Challenger badge, and then I have the letters up here too. So it looks cool. Check out the other side. So there are a few things I want to take care of here before the road trip. Last little errands to run, and gives me a good chance to kind of put some miles on the car, do a little bit of shakedown testing, I guess. The exhaust is a little bit on the loud side, which is fine for driving around town, but I'm about to spend, I guess, 40 hours or more here on my road trip, so I think I'm going to go ahead and get an H-pipe installed. And they say that maybe it'll pick up a few horsepower too, which is never a bad thing. I'm also curious about how much this thing weighs. It's kind of a hard thing to research. I mean, they offered so many different engines and transmissions, and the weight range that you find online is really pretty big. It seems like maybe they're as light as around 3,100 pounds and as heavy as near 4,000 pounds. So I'm here at this place where they have a giant car scale. So, theoretically, I might have actually lost a little bit of weight switching to this Hemi. The small block Chryslers, like the 360 I had in here, they say they weigh about 550 pounds, and the Hemi, with its aluminum heads and all that, weighs around 500 pounds. I'm really curious about the power to weight ratio on this thing. I'm gonna drag race it, so I kind of trying to sort of estimate where my quarter mile time might be. I guess we'll find out here in a minute. All right, there you go, 3560. So I do have a spare tire and a bag of tools and about half a tank of gas. So I think it's safe to call that 3,500 pounds. Not bad. All right, let's go get that H-pipe installed. All right, I'm on my way to get the H-pipe installed. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to do a little bit of a before and after, so we can see, if the sound was reduced or by how much. And I'm curious if it's going to change the tone of the exhaust or anything like that. Alright, I just got the H-pipe installed, and it does seem to have chilled out the exhaust a little bit. It definitely still rumbles, which is good. We'll see if we can tell the difference. Maybe I'll edit this so that I can kind of go back and forth a little bit and do a real side-by-side test of before H-pipe and then after H-pipe. All right, well, it's road trip time. We're driving up to Seattle, so it's a good, over 1,000 miles away. I didn't get a lot of time to, drive it and shake it down. So I'm a little bit nervous, I'm not gonna lie. But, the few little drives I did take it on, it did seem to run pretty well. Just a few little issues, but nothing too major. So we leave tomorrow evening and we'll see how she does. It's the second day of the road trip, and we're just east of San Francisco right now, and so far so good. That first evening of driving went pretty well. Today is going to be a little bit more difficult of a drive. We're going to try and do a good 8 or 9 hours, and we have some mountains to climb, and it's going to be pretty warm up there. It looks like upper 90s or so. So this is going to be a good test for the radiator. So our destination for the night is Southern Oregon, so wish me luck. All right, well, we made it to Mount Shasta. That was a pretty good climb up the mountain. It was definitely warm, but the car did pretty well. This thing's awesome to drive. All right, we still got a ways to go before we hit our stopping point for the night, so let's get to it. All right, so we're getting pretty close to the California-Oregon border, and we're kind of up on this sort of plateau area up here in the mountains, and there's some dark clouds on the horizon. It's definitely like a huge rainstorm up there. It's hard to say. I mean, sometimes it seems like we're headed straight for it, and then other times the road curves and it's like we're headed away from it. So yeah, there definitely seems to be like one big dark cloud. It's kind of weird. It's like it's one small cloud, but it's raining really heavily. Gosh, it's pretty ominous. I removed my windshield wiper motor. It didn't actually work anyway, and kind of figured I'd never drive in the rain. I think that might have been a mistake. You know, I've been like really watching the weather the week before the road trip, and I just nowhere along the route did I see any rain, but I guess you never know, especially up here in the, you know, in the Northwest. All right, well, we'll see. Fingers crossed. Well, it did start raining, it looks like, and it's probably too late to do any sort of rain-X. I mean, from what I can tell from way back, the clouds seem to be really just right here at the top of this mountain pass, so hopefully it won't be long. All right, here we go. All right, well, we made it off the mountain and down to our hotel. It's still sprinkling a little bit, but it looks like we're pretty much out of the rain. Whew, that was kind of an intense drive. All right, well, tomorrow's our last day, and hopefully we'll reach Seattle. All right, well, we made it all the way up here, just a little bit past Seattle. Total is about a little over 1,000 miles. I think it's around 1,200 miles. And everything with the car went great. No issues, no breakdowns, really no problems whatsoever. Right now we're in line for the ferry. That's one thing I love to do up here is take the ferry across to the islands. And you know what road trip would be complete without driving onto a boat? All right, well, we're headed back over. Drag racing isn't for another couple of days, so it's gonna give me some time to make sure it's ready for the track. Man, I gotta say, I'm proud of this thing. I'm excited to see how fast it is.